If all these stories have you wanting to go on your own adventure and you don't want to spend a ton of money and you don't want to take a ton of time away from work and family, I highly encourage you to check out Lost Travel Company. They do trips all over the country, everything from biking to rafting to kayaking, hiking, etc. And on each trip, there's an official start line and an official finish line, but getting between locations is totally up to you. However you want to do it, however you want to carry your gear, it's a total free-for-all in between. And it is a group trip, but they're very small groups. So you get to know people, but you can also easily practice social distancing. So a lot of the trips are still happening. And like I said, they're very affordable, very easy to get out and go do because they have figured out a lot of the logistics for you, but it still leaves so much room for adventure to happen. And with each trip, they give back 5% of the total trip as a donation to the area where the trip is happening. So if you'd like to find out more, go to lost.travel and use the code ADVENTURESPORTS for 10% off any of the trips listed. If you're suffering from stress, anxiety, lack of sleep, inflammation, pain management, kind of like I am pretty much all the time, I highly encourage you to check out cocanacare.com. And that's C-O for Colorado. It's a Colorado-based company. Canna, C-A-N-N-A, care.com. They make incredible CBD oil that's derived from all natural, high-quality industrial hemp. It's legal in all 50 states and is USDA certified 100% organic. And there's absolutely no THC content in the oil. It's non-GMO and contains no heavy metals or pesticides. They've been gracious enough to help support us during this time. So if you're wanting to try CBD oil for any of those reasons I mentioned and a lot more on their website, I highly encourage you just to give it a shot. Check it out. Go to cocanacare.com. And again, that's C-O for Colorado, C-A-N-N-A care.com. This is the Adventure Sports Podcast, where we hear stories of adventure from every corner of the planet. We interview all sorts of folks who are using their sport to explore the world around them and give you the inspiration you need to get out there and have some fun. Hey, Adventure Sports Podcast listeners. Coming at you from a hotel room today in Omaha, Nebraska. So the audio, again, probably sound weird. I've been on the road a handful of weeks now and trying to just keep things somewhat normal, but, it's hard to do in today's world. And just wanted to give you an update for our cross-country bike tour, what we're doing. So if you didn't know, we are, I work for Athletic Brewing during the day. It's non-alcoholic craft beer. And I can hear some of your eyes roll out there. Non-alcoholic craft beer. You got to be kidding me. But if you've been a listener to the show, you know that I work there and you know that I'm a huge fan. And even before I was working there, they sponsored the show a little bit last year. And, I've got family history with everything from alcoholism to just, I'm kind of a lightweight. I don't love to drink a lot, but I love the taste of beer. And so it's a really cool thing we're doing, really cool, exciting, kind of new, very new industry in a lot of ways. But, as a way to celebrate, our brewery's in Connecticut, and I do this whole show on the side, by the way. I do it all, nights and weekends and host, do all the interviews and all that. And, they were listeners of the show and they got in touch eventually. And so here we are. But anyway, breweries in Connecticut on the East Coast, right near the water. We just opened the second brewery a couple months ago on the West Coast in San Diego. And so with, I love the bike tour, love to bike across country. And so with a planning meeting back in December, we were like, why don't we do a bike tour from one brewery to the other? And so I've been helping to plan that, helping coordinate it. There's been a team of us kind of taking on the task. And what we're doing is biking from our Connecticut brewery to our San Diego brewery with each of our teammates, just, somebody on our team, somebody in the company, committing to like 300 miles at a time. So essentially across a state. So someone commits to like Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. Doesn't work out exactly from state to state, but commits to a segment at a time. And we're right now in Nebraska, about halfway through the journey, and it's just been really, really cool. But it's just so much has happened. Gosh, we had a hurricane starting off. We got that, that hurricane that hit the East Coast. We got a huge day of raining right through some farm country. It was crazy. We got this crazy big storm with tornadoes and crazy high winds coming across. I keep saying crazy. I know. I gotta find a different word to use. These unbelievably high winds, like 140 mile an hour gusts coming through Chicago, blew down a bunch of trees, buildings, RVs are blown over, semi-trailers are blown over. We were able to find shelter for that. And all that to say, it's been an adventure. And that's exactly what we were looking for. And really, everyone's been staying safe, if you want me to be honest. It's been fun. It's been really fun. It's been tiring, but a huge adventure. It was just something we wanted to do that was a little bit different than just cutting a ribbon. We're called Athletic Brewing for a reason. We wanted to do something athletic, something out of the box, and something that kind of lives up to our name. And I always tell people, when you sell non-alcoholic beer for a living, everything else seems a lot more possible. You know what I mean? Like, when you're already breaking all these barriers all day long, just throwing in another crazy adventure just sounds like the norm. So a couple days ago, and I just want to, brief Frank, this episode's a little bit different, and I'm trying to raise some awareness for what happened the other day. On Friday, August 14th, we had finished the miles for the day. It was about 102 miles that we had planned that day. And our rider, Chris, just one of the guys that works with us in sports marketing, great guy. He committed to a 3-day segment, 330 something miles, and he had just finished. And we were trying to get a little closer to Des Moines, Iowa. So I decided, I'm like, you know what? I've been in the van this whole time. Let me jump on the bike. Let me get some miles. Let me maybe do 2 hours or so, 20, 30 miles of riding, and just, kind of get the person who's taking over the next day a little bit shorter day and get us a little closer to town and let Chris take a break. He was not wanting to do more than 100. He had absolutely crushed the 100 miles for the day and had done 335 miles in 3 days. So he was pretty whooped. And so I get about 10 miles into this ride. I'm just breaking a sweat, just really starting to feel good. I've got my Aftershocks headphones and I'm listening to a podcast. And those headphones don't cover your ears, so you can still hear the stuff around you. And I just feeling good. I was on this brand new bike, super fast bike. Felt good to finally get on the road after watching everybody else get their miles in for the day. And hold on one second. My microphone is slipping just a little. All right, I'm back. So like I said, just getting the miles in. The day's looking good. And, we're out in the middle of rural Iowa. There's going to be tractors. There's going to be some semis. There's going to be some just pickup trucks. Nothing crazy. I bike through Florida all the time. It's very similar in anywhere rural, really. And we were on this road, and it turned into like a 2-lane highway, kind of a larger highway, but not crazy. But it was just as you get through this town, then it went back down to just kind of 1 lane either way, just a smaller country road. But as it had you approach this town, it just kind of opened up, and then it'd go back down. And I've crossed the country half a dozen times, and never. You've gone on all sorts of roads, never really had an issue. There's been close calls here and there, but that's just, if you were to drive across the country 6 times, you would have a handful of potential, just scary moments. And so nothing out of the norm, biking along, having a great time, legitimately thinking about just how awesome this journey has been. And now I'm able to carry this baton. I don't think I mentioned that. We're carrying a physical running baton, passing it from one rider to the other, and that baton is a symbol of our expansion across the country, a celebration of that. And that baton is going to be a tap handle in our new brewery. We're going to be pouring beer, holding onto that baton. It's a pretty awesome idea. And so I was holding the baton, just thinking about all that, and out of nowhere, just this crash, and my back is in pain. Parts of a vehicle are flying all around my face, and it takes me, a split second to realize I've been hit by a car. And, it was just the most bizarre experience. If anyone out there has experienced anything like that, or an accident that you've been in, you know what people say. It's your life flashes before your eyes. It's fast and slow at the same time. You can recall, it just burns these images into your mind, even though it happens so quickly. So this pickup truck, this F-150, hits me right in the back. And it took me a second to realize that it wasn't the entire body of the truck. I didn't fly up in the air. It was the mirror of the truck hit me right in the middle of the back, and my handlebars scraped the edge of the truck, the entire length of the truck. But we're on this highway, and having so much experience with riding and with vehicles, this truck was going really, really, really fast. And it was going at least the speed limit, which was 60 miles an hour. Like I said, not the most ideal place to bike, but by no means a terrible place to be biking. Like, it was just a road that was connecting us to another country road. And I've spent literally thousands of miles on roads just like this with no issues. And it was a quiet day, not a lot of traffic. This truck had plenty of room to get over in the other lane and to not hit me, but it hit me right in the back. The mirror flies all around me, like it hits me and then just shatters. And it felt like just getting hit in the back with like a 2x4. And it broke off. The mirror just broke off the truck. The glass goes everywhere, parts of plastic, everything just flying everywhere. And the body of the mirror just kind of up over my head and right on the ground in front of me. And I obviously just like pull the brakes, come to a stop. I yell out a bunch of expletives. It scared me half to death, of course. And, instinctually, I looked right at the truck, like, what's the license plate? But the moment, it was just a split second. I looked right at the truck, and it was already too far to read the license plate. And so that let me know it was going very, very quick, and it was moving right along with traffic. But what really blew my mind is that no one stopped. Like, no one even stopped to check. People, I was writhing in pain. It hurt like hell, to be honest. And I was sitting there writhing in pain on the side of this road, just holding my back on all fours, just reaching up at my back, making sure no bones were sticking out. I knew adrenaline was rushing by that point. And, this truck drove by. It never tapped the brakes and never saw brake lights engage. And I miraculously didn't get, knocked down. I don't know how I didn't fall. If you want me to be honest, the truck hit me, but it was like I hit the truck to the body of the truck, and it almost like kept me upright. And I just sat there for just a second taking stock of what just happened and what to do about it. So I immediately called the support vehicle, because we have a van out here that, is meeting the rider every 5-10 miles. And I called them and said, hey, pickup truck, just so anyone out there listening in the Des Moines, Iowa area, it's a charcoal gray F-150 with a missing side view mirror on the passenger side. I told them all that, said, hey, keep your eyes open for this truck and find it. Let's make sure that they don't get away with a hit and run, because it felt very intentional. I heard the truck ease into the shoulder of the road, and it went over the grooves. I could hear the tires hit the grooves, and so there was also a groove in the middle of the highway, so I thought it might have been that one that it was going into, but it wasn't. It eased over, it hit me, then it eased right back into the lane and just kept going. And that's what's the most mind-blowing thing to me, is that, at the very best case, it was an accident. But being an accident, I would assume they would stop. At the very worst, it was intentional. Either way, the fact remains is the truck did not stop. The driver didn't have concern for me. I immediately came to a stop and got down on the ground. So even looking in the rearview mirror, this driver would have seen me, the rider, not okay. They didn't know if they killed me. They didn't know if I was going into shock. They didn't know if I did, a piece of metal had punctured my heart. They didn't know. They didn't care. They kept going. Not a single rider, not a single driver stopped. Kind of crazy. It wasn't like, even when I got up, I was limping around, just I was in pain, like I said, and back was killing me. I was bleeding out of my arm and my back. Ultimately I was thankfully okay. And then I was just filled with anger. And so I jumped on the bike. I grabbed all the pieces of the mirror that I could find, and I jumped on the bike and I said, I'm going to pedal because I'm okay. I know the adrenaline's rushing, but I really did feel like, okay, nothing's broken. There aren't any bones sticking out, and I'm not dead. So I began pedaling. The van caught up to me. They obviously came to me, and I gave them the mirror. And I just kept going. I told them, I'm not stopping. I'm going to turn down this country road, this quieter road, with a larger shoulder. I'm going to be careful, but I'm doing the rest of these miles. That probably wasn't the smartest thing looking back, because I could have definitely been a little more injured than I was. And, it felt targeted. It felt like this person actively went out of their way to at least buzz me. So if you don't know, in cycling, there's this term called buzzing, where, a truck drives up next to you, or a car, any vehicle really, and they just get really, really close to you to scare you half to death. And it could be for a number of reasons. Intimidation, just because they're jerks and they're being, trying to have fun with their friends or something. It's not safe, and it's really irresponsible, and you're putting, people's lives at danger. A lot of times also, if it's a bigger, diesel engine vehicle, they'll lay on the gas, lay on the pedal, and roll coal, blow all this smoke out, and cover you with smoke. It's super dangerous. I've had it happen a few times going downhill, and you can't see anything for like 5 seconds. So totally unsafe and totally irresponsible and really stupid on their end. So this person buzzed me, and a lot of times also they'll honk their horn simultaneously when they go by you, and that just literally scares you to death. But anyway, this person buzzed me, and what I honestly think happened is this person wanted to get close and scare me. They realized they hit me because they lost a mirror. I don't think it was a decently nice truck, so I don't think they would have intentionally broken off a couple $100 mirror just to make a point. I think they accidentally broke the mirror and then just decided like, oh crap, I hit somebody, I better get out of here. So it was absolutely a hit and run. I ended up going down the road, like I said, turned down the road, still trying to process my thoughts, still double checking, making sure I'm okay. I could pedal just fine. And within 15 minutes of this happening, I was again buzzed. And the person that did it this time honked their horn, flicked me off out their window, and then they pulled up ahead of me. They pulled up ahead on the road, pulled over, got out of their truck, and stood in the road. It was an older gentleman, and this guy literally made me come to a stop in front of him. I was going to go around him, and he ran out in the road, basically trying to block my path. So I come to a stop right in front of his face, and I'm thinking, like, what is this guy going to do? Like, is he going to shoot me? I assume everybody out there has a gun. This is America, by the way. And, it's rural. Yeah, I wouldn't not expect this person to have a gun. And so I thought, what's going to happen here? And I am 100% ready to absolutely de-escalate this. I am not a fighter. I am not someone that wants to get just punched in the face all the time. So I was already hurt, so I was at a disadvantage. So this big old farmer man, older gentleman, like I said, already hurling insults, already screaming at me by the time I pulled up to him. He was saying things like, I pay taxes for you to be out on bike paths. I pay taxes for bike paths. You shouldn't be out here. People are trying to earn a living and you're getting in their way. Who do you think you are? First of all, I didn't want to get close to him because of coronavirus. I'm trying to keep my distance. He's an older gentleman. I didn't have a mask on because I was biking out there. And so I kept my distance. And I just calmly told him, and I'm not saying this just because I'm telling the story, but I honestly calmly told him, hey man, I just got hit by a truck. I'm trying to process that. I'm a father. I am a taxpayer as well. I said, I have a right to be on the road. It's not busy out here. Like, where are you going? That's so important that you couldn't just, he didn't even have to wait on me. He just had to go around me on this road. There was not even cars coming when this guy went by me the first time. And it's like it just didn't process to him. He just kept yelling, kept screaming at me. People, it was in like a small little area with some houses, actually. Not a town, but just a corner, an intersection that had a few houses. And people were coming out their yards looking at us yelling. And I ended up telling him, man, just have a good day. And I left. I literally didn't engage any beyond what I just said, and I left. Well, he goes back by me again, buzzes me again. Right after he did, another guy came behind me. And these were, I don't know if a man or woman was driving the first truck, but these other two were two grown men. This guy flicked me off, honked his horn at me. Then he got in the shoulder ahead of me and brake checked me. Slammed on the brakes. And I thought, is there like a campaign around here for people to hit or hate on cyclists? I don't know. So I kept going and ended up seeing a cop on the side of the road who was just kind of looking for people speeding. And I ended up telling him about it. And I'll be honest, he just did not seem that interested to hear my story. I told him I needed to file a report. He said to meet him back at the station. I'm like, where's the station? It's like 40 minutes away. I had asked the support vehicle to go drive around those roads and just look for the truck. Like, the sooner, the better. The longer this takes, the farther the truck will get away, and to just get a license plate number because somebody got away with a hit and run. Well, ended up not seeing the truck. I ended up not really talking to the police officer too long, kept going. Eventually did file a report just over the phone with some officers that handled it very professionally, I will say, and it was fine. But it just was really an eye-opening experience to think that this person just on a whim decided to get so close to me they could have killed me. If that mirror would have hit, if I would have been down in the handlebars, down in the drop position of the handlebars, it could have just as easily hit me in the back of the head. And it had enough, inside that mirror was an entire metal bracket filled with a heavy motor to move the mirror around. I drive the same exact type of truck. It's a big, heavy mirror. They are made to bend in, but it's usually when you click a button to make it do that. It doesn't do it on its own, but thankfully it didn't hit me in the neck or paralyze me or something. It hit me somewhere just right. And that's just the mirror. If it had been 2 inches to the right, the guy would have hit me with the actual truck. Would have caught my handlebars in his grill or caught it on the front tire. And who knows? I don't even want to think about it. It would have left my wife to be a widow and my son to be fatherless. My 1-year-old son would have never known me. And it's definitely caused me to think a lot. It caused me to think about what to do with this trip. So, for all my experiences out in the world, out doing adventures, climbing, to biking, to traveling cross country, to even hitchhiking, I've never had an experience like this. And I know it's not a huge deal in a lot of ways. I know there are situations so much grander, so much more important right now. But I feel kind of one of the themes of 2020 is to stop letting people get away with compromise, getting away with accepting the status quo of low quality, whether that be leadership, whether that be, bad apples in the police force, whether that be just in yourself. It's it really is blowing my mind that I was not able to convince these people, like, hey, my life is valuable enough to not threaten with your 2, 3, 4,000 pound vehicle or your semi. And just so you know, the other rider of the day, Chris, he had also been buzzed a couple times, and we kind of blew the first one off as an accident. But looking back, it seems to be like it was a theme, and he got brake checked as well by another rider or by another vehicle. And so all that to say, being a company trip, we have decided that we're actually going to not be biking anymore on the roads. What we're doing instead is we're going to still complete our miles to go from Connecticut to San Diego by bicycle, and we're still going to be doing them in the locations that we would have originally. But how we're going to change this is do them strictly on paved bike trails that are safe for riders, that are made for riders. And from a business perspective, we're going to be able to just engage with potential drinkers of Athletic Brewing. So in a way, it's going to be better than it was before. And that is a lesson that I want to take into the rest of the second half of this journey. And honestly, well beyond that, when someone decides to be foolish, when someone decides to be reckless, at the very best, they were reckless. It doesn't have to go to waste. That opportunity doesn't have to be something that causes you to say, okay, we can't do this anymore. We have to tuck our tails and run. We have to leave. We have to quit. I don't want this person that did this to win. I don't want this person that behaves this way, or the type of people that behave this way, that just plays with your life like it's the life of a fly. We cannot let people like that win. So I don't know what this means. This literally just happened 2 days ago. Still processing it. But we will be continuing our journey. I will be continuing to post updates, and I will be continuing to do shows from the road like this. But I want you and your family and your people, first of all, tell your family you love them, because life can be taken from you that quickly. Secondly, I want every one of you to look in the mirror in the next few days and just ask, where in my life am I allowing just the status quo to rule me? Where in my life am I allowing it is what it is to rule me? Where in my life can I make a difference? Where in my life have I learned something that's mind-blowing, or that's negative, or that's horrible, that I know I need to make a difference about? No, if all the issues of 2020 have resonated with you, I encourage you to do something about it. If there's an issue out there, if hunger in people is something that just breaks your heart, or orphanages, or homelessness, or just the elderly that don't have anyone to talk to, if there's someone out there that has been tugging at you for a while, this is a huge wake-up call to me. And I'm honestly venting on this a little bit, so you're going to hear this, in just a very raw way. But I'm also using it as an opportunity to say, how do I really want to live moving forward? How do I want my son? How do I want my kids to view this world? As a big, scary, horrible place? As a place that's just for their personal indulgence? Or as a place that is a test to say, what am I going to do to make it better than I left it? And so I really don't know where I'm going with this, but, and I know this is totally unique, but we're going to be continuing this journey. I really want to raise some awareness for cycling dangers, because in this area, in this greater Des Moines, Iowa area, 3 cyclists have been killed in the last 2 weeks, and it all happened within a week. But it was 2 weeks ago. One of them was traveling across country, just like we're doing. So first and foremost, I want to raise some awareness for cyclists, and for, God forbid I get out there on the highway and exercise a little. That's what I was thinking with this older fella. I mean, he's threatening my life and sitting there smoking a cigarette, and I think, I'm not jeopardizing your livelihood. You are. And so anyway, that's step one. Step two is, what does this speak about to the larger issues of society? Where in your life, where in my life am I just slacking off? Am I just accepting, non-excellence? Am I accepting poor quality? That starts with you. It starts in the mirror. And from there, it leads to how we make decisions. It leads to how we raise our kids or have families or treat our spouses or treat our parents and siblings, how we work, how we are as employees and as bosses. Compromise begins in the mirror, and that's exactly where it ends. So I encourage every one of you to go make some sort of difference. Make some phone calls, send some emails, start writing checks. Start doing things that make you feel alive, that better the world for the sake of others. I mean, we're only here for just a little while. I mean, how could you just spend it all indulging on yourself all the time? So I don't know. I don't know if anyone out there needs to hear it. I'm kind of in a not whatever attitude, but in an attitude to say, this is a unique episode. It's definitely eye-opening. This is definitely a side of adventure that happens. And this by no means is a traumatic thing that some people go through. I am not delusional enough to think that this is on the same level of even a small, a huge percentage of the things that happen to people on a daily basis and that have probably happened to you. So I'm not trying to say that, but it's always a good reminder to be reminded of the things that we already know, which is to make our life count for something. A lot of us have heard that. A lot of us work towards that, but life takes over and it's easy to forget. So while it's fresh on my mind, while it's fresh in my perspective, I just wanted to share it with you. So, we're going to continue to have fun out here. We're going to continue to bike. We're heading to Denver soon, place that I love and lived for years. And we will be spreading the word about Athletic Brewing and non-alcoholic beer. And, we brew this beer. We have to brew it without compromise. That's one of our mottos, because you're not going to make a non-alcoholic beer work unless it is absolutely excellent. And so it has encouraged me to think in that way in the last year that I've been working here, to live with just the utmost excellence that I can and to make every single day count. So all that to say, while it's all fresh in my mind, I wanted to share it with y'all, the Adventure Sports Podcast community, and I hope that you continue reaching out. Let us know if you have someone to interview, if you would like to be interviewed about your story. Maybe let's find folks that have overcome something, or folks that are making their life count for something, using adventure sport to make a difference. So that's what we're doing out here on this trip. It's what I'm using my adventure experience to do on this very, very experience. And that's what I hope it encourages in you. So continue getting out there and having fun. You'll be hearing from us soon. First of all, thank you so much for listening. It means the world to us that you choose to listen to this show. If you'd like to help us further, you can leave a review on iTunes, share us with your friends, your family. It goes a long way to grow in the show. You can also support us financially through patreon.com/adventuresportspodcast. Link is in the show notes. And also, if you have an idea of who could be a good guest for the show, we're always looking for people to tell their story about the outdoors or adventure. So if you know someone, please reach out. Email us at info@adventuresportspodcast.com. And until then, get out there and have some fun.